You're 22 years old. You make $3,100 a month, which isn't rich, but it should be enough to stop checking your bank account every Friday night. Except you do, because somehow, every 30 days, you end up in exactly the same place, staring at a number so small that you start counting the days until payday. The strange part is, you can't explain where the money went. There is no new car outside, no expensive watch on your wrist, and your apartment looks exactly the same as it did last month. So one night, mostly because you're annoyed, you open your banking app and start scrolling. $6, $4, $11, $8, coffee before work, delivery because you got home late, a subscription you forgot existed, another coffee you didn't even finish. None of it looks dangerous. That's probably why you never noticed it. But when you add up every purchase under $15 from the last month, the number is $312. And you can't remember a single thing you bought for $312. You sit there for a while, looking at the unfinished coffee beside your laptop, and then you do something that feels almost stupid because of how small it is. You open a savings account and set an automatic transfer for $10 every morning. 6 o'clock, before coffee, before breakfast, before you get the chance to spend it. The next morning, $10 disappears. You barely notice. The morning after that, it happens again, and honestly, you still don't feel different. That's the disappointing part. Nothing happens. You don't suddenly become disciplined. You still order food when you're tired, and you still buy coffee on mornings when making it yourself feels impossible. The only difference is that every morning, before you can make another bad little decision, $10 has already escaped from you. After 1 month, you check the account for the first time. $300. Not enough to change your life. Barely enough to impress you. So you close the app and forget about it. 3 months become 6. Summer becomes winter. Your apartment stays the same, your job stays the same, and your car keeps making that weird noise you pretend not to hear. 11 months after you started saving, that noise gets louder on the highway. Then the dashboard lights up, the engine loses power, and suddenly you're standing beside the road watching smoke crawl out from under the hood. At the repair shop, the mechanic says $1,800, and for about 3 seconds, your stomach drops exactly the way it always does when life gets expensive. Your brain starts doing the usual math. Credit card, maybe borrow from someone, maybe ask the mechanic what happens if you wait another month. And then you remember the account you haven't checked in months. You open it right there in the shop. $3,350. You pay the $1,800. It hurts. Watching almost a year of tiny transfers disappear in one afternoon feels terrible. And on the drive home, you're not proud of yourself. But 2 days later, something strange finally hits you. Your car broke. The repair cost $1,800. And somehow, your life didn't break with it. But 2 days later, something strange finally hits you. Your car broke. The repair cost $1,800. And somehow, your life didn't break with it. You still don't think of yourself as someone who saves money. You're just a guy with one automatic transfer he keeps forgetting to cancel. Then, one Tuesday afternoon, Ryan drops a cardboard box on the desk beside you and says 2 words you definitely weren't expecting. I quit. And has complained about the job for 2 years, but so have you. And complaining during lunch is very different from actually carrying your desk plant to the parking lot. So after work, you meet him for coffee and ask the obvious question. Ryan doesn't answer. He just slides a set of keys across the table. 20 minutes later, you're standing inside an empty storefront that smells like dust and old paint while Ryan explains where the counter will go. Coffee machines here. Tables by the window. A giant sign outside. He talks so fast that, for a few minutes, you can almost see the finished place too. Then you ask how much it costs. Ryan says $45,000 like he's telling you the price of lunch. You look at him, then at the empty room, then back at him. Ryan laughs and tells you the bank approved the loan that morning. On the drive home, you tell yourself it's reckless. $45,000 of debt for a room that currently has one broken light and no coffee. But 3 months later, the room doesn't look empty anymore. There are people at the tables, music playing, 2 employees behind the counter. Ryan is wearing an apron and smiling like he escaped from something. You still have to wake up for every Monday. Ryan starts posting every day. The new espresso machine, a line outside on Saturday, a local food page calling the place a hidden gem. And this is where saving starts to feel different. Not smart, not responsible, slow. Ryan borrowed $45,000 and changed his entire life in 3 months. You've been moving $10 at a time for years, and tomorrow morning you're still going back to the same desk. That night, you check your savings. $9,400. More money than you've ever had, and somehow it has never looked smaller. Because now you're not comparing $9,400 to zero. You're comparing it to Ryan's keys, his shop, his employees, and the fact that he doesn't have a boss anymore. For the first time since you started, your finger moves toward the transfer settings. Maybe you should stop. Maybe $10 a day is just the slowest possible way to watch everyone else pass you. Then you look at the number again, $9,400, and instead of turning the transfer off, you start wondering what $9,400 could actually start. So you start searching. Restaurants, too expensive. A small store, rent alone kills the idea. An online business, you don't even know what you'd sell. For 3 nights, every idea seems to require either $50,000, a skill you don't have, or a personality completely different from yours. Then, on Saturday morning, you're waiting outside a car wash when you notice a van across the parking lot. A guy pulls out a vacuum, a pressure washer, and a box of chemicals. 40 minutes later, the dirty SUV beside him looks almost new. The owner hands him cash. You watch the van leave, look at your own car, and for the first time in 4 days, you have a search term instead of a business idea. Mobile car detailing. That night, you stop searching for businesses and start searching for prices. Pressure washer, vacuum, generator, water tank, chemicals, insurance. A used van that looks terrible, but still starts. You calculate everything twice, then a third time, because the first 2 answers both say the same thing. $7,500. You have $9,400. And suddenly Ryan's $45,000 loan doesn't seem reckless anymore. It seems brave, which is a dangerous thought when you're sitting alone at midnight with a calculator. The difference is, Ryan spent money the bank expected back. If you do this, you're spending money you spent years slowly collecting. You don't sleep much, but by morning, you've made one decision. If you try this, you are not spending all of it. $1,900 stays in the account, not because $1,900 is a lot of money, but because you remember exactly what $1,800 felt like at the repair shop. 2 weeks later, your apartment parking space contains the ugliest white van you've ever owned, which is easy because you've never owned a van before. The equipment barely fits inside. The generator is louder than you expected. The water tank leaks on the first test, and you spend an entire Sunday learning that car chemicals have far too many names. Then you get your first customer, a woman from 3 streets away who found your painfully simple online listing and wants the inside of her car cleaned. You quote $80, then immediately wonder if 80 is too much, too little, or somehow both. She says yes before you finish doubting yourself, and for the next 2 hours, you clean that car like someone is going to inspect it for fingerprints. When she pays you, you stare at the $80 for a second longer than necessary. Not because it's a lot, because it's the first money you've ever made from something that didn't exist a month ago. 30 days later, you check the numbers. 3 customers, $186 left after expenses. You spent $7,500 to build a business. That just paid you less than your savings account used to collect in 3 weeks. You close the laptop and sit there in the dark, trying not to calculate how many $80 cars it would take just to get your $7,500 back. The answer is 94. You know because, despite trying not to calculate it, you calculate it anyway. Then your phone lights up. Ryan has posted another video from the coffee shop. There's a line outside. Someone is filming a drink with foam shaped like a heart, and Ryan is laughing behind the counter with 3 employees now. You look from Ryan's crowded shop to your own numbers, and for one very honest minute, you hate the van, but hating it doesn't cancel the next booking. So Saturday morning you drive 40 minutes across town to clean a black sedan in somebody's driveway. Halfway through the job, the pressure washer dies. You unplug it, plug it back in, hit the switch 6 times, because apparently the 6th time might contain engineering knowledge the first 5 didn't. It doesn't. The replacement costs $640. And for the second time in your life, an expensive problem arrives at exactly the wrong moment. Except this time, you already decided what happens next. You buy the machine. The reserve drops to $1,260, and by Monday the van is working again. You don't feel clever. You feel poorer, but the customer never knows anything went wrong, and the next customer doesn't either. A few days later, you stop by Ryan's shop after work. For the first time, there isn't a line outside. Ryan is behind the counter staring at the espresso machine while a technician has half of it spread across a towel. $6 grand, Ryan says before you even ask. Then he laughs, but it's a different laugh from the one he gave you in the empty shop. You ask if insurance covers it. It doesn't. You ask if he has money set aside. Ryan looks toward the empty tables. I need a good month, he says. You ask what happens if he doesn't get one. Ryan doesn't answer. And standing there, you finally notice something his videos never showed you. The loan payment doesn't care if the shop is busy. The rent doesn't care if the machine breaks. And the 3 employees Ryan was smiling beside last week still need to be paid on Friday. On the drive home, you think about your broken pressure washer. $640 had felt like a disaster. Then you realize the difference. Your bad week cost you money. Ryan's bad week still expected money from him. The next morning, nothing changes. You wake up at 6, $10 leaves your account. And by 8:30 you're sitting at the same office desk you've been sitting at for years. But at lunch, your phone vibrates. The woman whose car you cleaned first has sent your number to her sister. Her sister has 2 cars. Then her husband asks about his truck. By Friday, your empty Saturday has 3 bookings. You start at 7 in the morning. By 6 that evening, your back hurts, your shoes are wet, and the inside of the van smells like 6 different chemicals fighting each other. But $310 is sitting in your pocket, and for the first time, the van doesn't look ugly when you close the doors. The next weekend, there are 4 cars. The weekend after that, 5. Not because you suddenly understand marketing, because people with clean cars know other people with dirty ones. Then March becomes April, the rain stops, and every car in the city seems to be covered in the same gray layer of winter. Your phone starts ringing during meetings, then during lunch, then while you're already cleaning someone else's car. You begin saying no, which feels insane, because 3 months ago you had 3 customers in an entire month. And then a man named Daniel calls. He doesn't have one dirty car. He has 12. Daniel manages a small home service company. His vehicles haven't been properly cleaned since autumn, and one of his employees gave him your number. You quote him $1,400, then spend the next 10 seconds convinced you've just destroyed the biggest opportunity you've ever had. Daniel says, "Can you start Monday?" There's one problem. Monday is also the day your boss expects you at your desk. So you use 2 vacation days and spend Monday and Tuesday cleaning 12 vehicles in a parking lot, until your hands feel permanently shaped like a vacuum handle. After chemicals, fuel, and supplies, $980 is left. You made more in 2 days than the business made in its entire first month. And that's when you make the mistake of checking your office salary on the same screen. $3,100 for a month of your time. $980 for 2 days. You know the comparison isn't fair yet. Your brain makes it anyway. That night, you open the automatic transfer settings again. The same screen you almost used to stop saving months earlier. You delete the 10, type 30, and press confirm. $30 leaves the next morning. Then again the morning after that. The difference is, this time, you notice it, because $30 actually changes the way you spend. You make coffee at home more often. You stop ordering food for nights a week, not because you've become disciplined. You just hate moving money backward. By June, the detailing calendar is full 3 weekends ahead, and you're answering customer messages from the office bathroom, because your boss has started noticing the phone. Saturday becomes Sunday. Then some evenings after work, you start measuring weeks by how many clean shirts you still have, and whether your hands smell like tire cleaner. In July, the business makes $4,800 after expenses. Your office pays you $3,100. You open a resignation letter that night. Then you close it. Open it again. Close it again. Then you remember Ryan carrying his plant through the parking lot, and for the first time, you understand why he was smiling. But you also remember the $6,000 espresso machine. So before you quit, you do one more thing Ryan didn't. You wait until the account reaches $12,000 for months of rent, food, insurance, and the kind of problems that never ask whether the timing is convenient. Then, on a Monday morning, you place a cardboard box on your desk. This time, Ryan isn't there to watch you leave. His coffee shop closed 3 weeks earlier. The good month never came. The bank did. And you don't feel smarter than him, because without Ryan, you might still be sitting at your kitchen table watching $10 disappear every morning, and wondering what it was for. The first month after quitting is not freedom. It's 14-hour days, invoices at midnight, and discovering that customers can somehow text quick question at 11:47 at night. But now, when the calendar fills, you can do something you couldn't do before. You hire someone, then another van, then a small garage with 2 bays. Not a headquarters, not an empire, just enough room to stop storing microfiber towels beside your dinner plates. And yes, eventually, you replace the gray car. But here's the part you would have misunderstood at 22. $10 a day never bought you that car. It bought you the repair before you needed a credit card, then it bought you the right to try before you needed a bank. And years later, when another life finally became possible, it bought you the one thing money is supposed to buy: a choice.